Hello, everyone. Thanks for listening to the Grow Your Life podcast. My name is Jeremiah Krakowski. On this podcast, we talk about ways for you to grow in your life and in your business to get more results and to make more money using the tools of the internet as well as strategies for your mindset. It all works together. I don't really believe in the whole work-life balance thing. I actually believe that if you have a connected, cohesive life, work isn't a stress, and your life can actually take the top priority. That's why this is called the Grow Your Life podcast, not the Grow Your Business podcast. Even though we talk mostly about life, it's about living a bigger life. Now listen, if you're not part of the hashtag Grow Your Life Facebook group, be sure to join that group. There's over 1,500 people just like yourself that are growing in their life and in their business every single day that you can engage with, connect with, and ask any questions about building your business in that group. There's no such thing as stupid questions. You're not going to be shut down or ridiculed for your question being inappropriate, as most people are concerned about. And so that's a resource for you that exists. If you're like, oh, I wish I knew how to do this. No wishing. It exists now. You can go to the Grow Your Life Facebook group, ask the question in there, and somebody will be able to direct you to a resource to find the answers that you're looking for. Unless you want to use those excuses as a crutch for why you can't build your business, then keep doing that. But you're probably not listening to this podcast if you're somebody that just wants to come up with excuses. You're looking for ways to grow personally so that you can achieve your goals. Now, today's podcast is all about building a business online when you have no time and no money. And this is where a lot of the people that I connect with and I meet are at. They have a business goal, they have a business idea, but they don't have the time to dedicate 30, 40, 50 hours a week to building their business. And they don't have a whole lot of money to put into it or even no money whatsoever. And so this is for you. If you're somebody that wants to build a business, you don't have any time, you don't have any money, this is going to be where you want to start. This is going to be the starting place for you in your business. First, I want you to, we're gonna go holistic here. I'm gonna cover a lot of stuff, some stuff you probably heard before already, and some brand new content that you probably never heard me share at all. First, you have to know, what are you selling, right? You have to figure that out. If you don't have that figured out, I have a couple podcast episodes previously that can help you figure that out. So we're not gonna go into like figuring out what to sell, because that's kind of the long part of the process. Once you have that figured out, you got to figure out who's going to buy it now. And that's the most important thing. Who are your buyers? Who's going to be your customer? You got to get to know them way more than you know your product. You have to know who you're selling to far more than what you're selling. And this is backwards to how we've been trained and taught how you should do things. But that's part of what I'm going to talk about today. When you build a business, everybody says, oh, it takes money to make money, right? So you should have money to make money. I kind of live a life and a philosophy in business that trying to do all the should do's in building a business is a recipe for disaster. And far too often we can get stuck in our head based on the should do's of what Guru A said and Guru B said and book number A, B, and C said. When the truth is, to be successful in business, you're going to have to go against the grain often and do the opposite of what you should do to actually be successful. Now, when it comes to a lack of time, it's the same exact thing. We have these ideas, these beliefs of what we've been told in our life we should do in our life, how we should be spending our time, how we should be allocating our time. And then we come to build our business and we come face to face with the fact that this doesn't quite work. You got appointments, you have schedules, you have people that you're committed to, you have time. You don't have the time to spend building a business. And so that's why the most effective way for you to build your business without a whole lot of time and without a whole lot of money is to learn the process that I'm going to lay out here for you. This process is something that I've learned over the last 18 years, working with business owners, working with millionaires, working with multimillionaires. A lot of you who are listening to me as well know my mom, Sandy Krakowski. This is actually one of her core things that she instilled in me at a very young age and in business, that I'm like, if you don't get this, you're not going to get anything else. So you have to understand this. Spending so much time taking planning and your process and trying to get all the pieces put together perfectly, you don't have time to do that. When you don't have time, and then you have this idea in your head about all the things that you should do to build your business, right? All the things that people tell you you should do, how you should put it together, how you should take this much time, how you should put that many posts up, how you should be doing that. You guys are going to should yourself broke. And that's what I see happens to people, is they're so stuck. I get on the phone with people. I have these free calls that I schedule, and they tell me, well, I know I should be doing this, but I'm not. And I believe that to be successful as a business owner, we have to erase that word should out of our heads, of all the should do's for your time and your money. And so once you remove that, it opens up a lot of freedom to become creative of how you're going to do things, because you're not going based off of a playbook that has been preset by other people dictating what you should and shouldn't do. When it comes to building your business, there is no right or wrong, should or should not do way of doing things. Now, sure, is there a way that is more effective than others? Absolutely. Is there a right path to get XYZ result? Absolutely. But what's best for you may not be best for somebody else. And so the number one thing that you have to figure out is, what can I do every single day to be consistent? Even if it violates what everybody says you should do, even if it goes against the most conservative ways of doing things, if it's best for you in building your business, that's how you should do it. We have to rip out of our heads this idea that there is a should and shouldn't, right and wrong way of building our businesses. Because that comes up with, that creates the scenario where since I can't do it how I should, I don't have the time. Since I can't do it how I should, I don't have the money. Since I can't do it how I should be doing it, I just can't do it. So you're already shutting down your creative force, your creative energy with that thinking. That's what happens. We literally take all of this possibility, all of this energy of what we could possibly accomplish as business owners, and then we put it into a little tiny box of should do, and then our lives, and it becomes impossible. And that's what I see people doing more often than not, is they are trying to fulfill some sort of a process of how they think business should be done, instead of doing what is best for them and finding their best flow and their best way of doing things. Listen, doing something, even if it's 100% against what you should do in your business, according to everybody else, is far better than waiting until a future moment where you can do everything perfectly how you should do it. Okay? So that's the core mindset part of all of this. Because you have to get that. If you don't get that, the rest of it's kind of not going to connect. Then what you do is you take imperfect action. You take what your business goal is and you start doing the activities imperfectly, not considering consequences, not considering how you're going to be judged, not considering what your family member or your friend at church is going to say, not considering how this might play out good or bad for you. These are all the things I hear people say. Well, this may be a consequence that I'm going to try to avoid, so I can't build it that way because of consequences that I'm terrified of. Rip that thing out of your head. I'm serious. You have to. You cannot build a business operating from a place of terror and fear of consequences about how one little tiny mistake that you make, or one little not doing it how you should, or taking imperfect action is going to produce disaster for you. And to take this a step further, I see people terrified to build their business because they're afraid of people coming after them. They're afraid of people attacking them. They're afraid of getting sued. And so they won't ever step out in their business. They won't ever take any action until they can guarantee their safety and security. Until they can guarantee that nothing will ever go wrong for them. I'm sorry, my friends, but that's not real life. And so you're going to do far better taking imperfect action, figuring it out as you go, doing the little tiny bit that you can each day, the little bit. Even if you should be doing all of this, listen, you hear this in health and fitness. You should be eating a certain way, right? You should be eating healthy. You should be working out a certain amount. So does not doing anything, is that better than doing what little bit you can each day? Answer me that. If you can't work out an hour a day, does that mean that working out for 20 minutes a day is a complete waste of your time? For some people, that's the mindset that they're in. If I can't do it all, I better just do nothing because you know what? I'm a failure. And that's unfortunately perpetuates the lie that they've been telling themselves their whole life, what their parents told them, what their aunt told them, what their uncle told them, what they were told in school, that they're a failure and they can never accomplish anything. And if that's what you're doing, if you're just trying to perpetuate that story to yourself, that you can't accomplish anything because if you can't do it 100%, I'm not going to do anything. I see people do that far too often. If I can't go 100%, I'm going to go 0 and then complain about how I just can't do it. I just can't do it. I see this so often with people. Is that if they can't go 100, they would rather go 0 and wait 5-10 years in the future when they finally get it. And then they start realizing, you know what? 10% is better than 0. 20% is better than 0. Compound action over time is better than waiting until perfection. And so when you lack time, when you lack money, when you don't have a whole lot of resources, time and money are resources, right? Money, you can hire people to do stuff for you. Time, you have time to do stuff. When you lack those two things and you're trying to build an online business, the forces of nature are fighting against you. That's basically what our brains are going to tell us. And so the way to beat that is to say, okay, how can I prioritize my time in a way that better serves me? How can I take ownership over this instead of complaining and being a victim to my circumstances, instead of being a victim to my fears, instead of being a victim to my past, instead of being a victim to what my parents told me, instead of being a victim to what my teacher in high school told me, and instead I can choose to build my business imperfectly. Listen, nobody's going to be grading you on it. Those haters and their comments, who cares? Taking imperfect action and figuring it out as you go and doing the little bit that you can do every single day. Not just one moment of action, not just one moment of excitement and courage and you did this one little thing in 30 days, but consistently. What can you do every single day? Tiny steps. I promise you, 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day is far better than waiting until you have an hour or 2 hours that you can set aside to do everything. It's far better than waiting until you have a moment to clear your schedule. And for some of you, if this idea of taking imperfect action is it's the most terrifying thing for you, that's a good opportunity that I think maybe to work through where that fear and that worry came from, and a therapist can be a great resource to help with that, to process through that. Because to be honest, there is nothing bad that can come out of you taking imperfect action in your business. There's not. But we convince ourselves of that because of past trauma and past experiences that we have to do everything perfect or we better not do anything at all. And that our identity is tied to what we do. See, that's why we got to remove our identity from what we do. Otherwise, yeah, we better do everything perfect or we are worthless. I'm sorry, but that's not true. What you do has nothing to do with who you are at all. And so when you can disconnect that, you can disconnect the need for things to go your way, the need for outcomes to go exactly how you want them to. You take imperfect action, you accept the results, you test, you figure it out as you go. You no longer operate from that victim position of lack of time, lack of money, because you're doing a little bit every single day. Then what you start to look at is, okay, how can I develop? See, this is level 3. For those of you that are still with me, I commend you, because there's some people that dropped off of this broadcast 10 minutes through, probably because they got offended for whatever reason at what I said. That's fine. I'll reach them eventually. Boundaries on your time, protecting your energy. That's why it is so important to say no to things and to be able to say no without feeling guilty, because otherwise you'll get sucked in by a friend that needs you to help them. You'll get sucked in by a family member that wants to have a conversation. You'll get sucked in by somebody at church that wants to talk for 4 hours on the phone. And now that became your reason that you don't have time to build your business. Instead of saying, hey, listen, I only got 15 minutes. Hey, I can't do that today, but let's plan that out on the weekend. When you start protecting your energy, people are going to get angry. They're going to get pissed off at you. They're not going to be happy, especially if you've been a people pleaser your whole life, always doing what other people want you to do. But you're not responsible for other people's reactions in your life. You're not responsible for how other people respond to your no. This is about saying, you know what? This is what I can do, and this is what I can't do. Now what happens is you are able to create time. You're able to create the time that you need, where you only had 5 minutes. Now that you set a boundary, maybe boundaries personally. How much time do you spend on social media? How much time do you spend watching the news? How much time do you spend talking with that friend or hanging out? Setting a boundary, shrinking some of that time and making your business a priority. So now your 5 minutes became, now you have an hour. And now you just created time out of thin air where it didn't exist. So that's the first step for business owners that don't have time. When you start to prioritize what's really important to you. And if you want to be an entrepreneur, if you want to build a 7-figure business, you will prioritize what's important to you. And your life will show you exactly what those things are by the results that you get. Little by little. Again, I'm not saying you got to go all or nothing. Extremes. You don't have to just say no to everybody and put yourself in a hole and become a hermit either. Little bit at a time. Little bit every day, growing a little bit by little bit. And that will train you and train others the value of your time. You see, other people treat your time with the level of respect that you show them that you respect it at. Want to know why they get upset at you when you say no? Because you've never respected your time before. That's it. The only reason people get upset when you say no, when you previously used to say yes, is because you always valued your time at the level that they could have it for free. And now that they benefited from that, you saying no and setting that boundary, they're not too happy about it. And that's okay. So we learn to become okay with other people being angry at us, being mad at us, not being happy with us. We become okay with other people around us being disappointed in us. See, these are growth things. These are what happens as we grow as a business owner, as an adult. I'm sure some of what I'm telling you may feel a little uncomfortable, but I promise you, when you get it, when you start doing this, it will open up more time for you to build your business, more time for you to get more done, more time for you to sell. When you lack money, you can make up with it with time effort. Okay? Now, the other side is, I'm just going to add a little bit of the thing with the money thing here. You may need to set some boundaries on your spending. You may need to set some boundaries on your hoarding. There's Gary Vaynerchuk said this. Every one of us has at least $5,000 in things in our house that we can sell. And my wife and I, over the last year and a half, we found that we've probably sold everything that we can besides, the dogs and the cars. Actually, we did sell 2 of the cars. We sold the Jeep and paid down credit cards with that. Like that's the thing. You're going to have to choose and decide. Okay? Does keeping up with the Joneses, does keeping up with holding on to sentimental value, is that more important than me reaching my goals? And then you can start to set aside $150, $300 a month to start to spend on advertising in your business. You're able to find $150, $300 here and there by selling stuff to get some of that money that you then lacked, setting that aside to then build your business, to then grow it, to then get some help, to then start to bring in a profit for yourself. So now you created time and money out of thin air. So you are a business owner that at the beginning of this episode had no time and no money, and now we found ways to find some money and to find some time. And so that's the thing. Whatever is important to us, we find the time for. You'll find the money for it if it's that important to you. And so if you're somebody that wants to build a bit, listen, could you find $300 a month if it was going to make you 7 figures? Absolutely. All of us could. It's an investment. And so that's the thing. We have to decide, what am I willing to sacrifice? There's always going to be sacrifices, whether it be our reputation, whether it be the version of ourselves that we've built up in the world. You're going to have to literally and completely change your entire brain, your entire mind, your entire way of thinking for you to reach your goals as an entrepreneur. Everything that you've done up to this moment in time that has been a success strategy for you is not going to work as an entrepreneur. And so the sooner that you realize that, you start operating in the ways that help you build a business for yourself. Do you notice? Think of all the ways that you've judged entrepreneurs before. They're just a little weird. They got a little bit higher energy than me. Boy, I would never say that way. I would never look at it that way. Maybe saying it that way is what got them there. Maybe that judgment is something that you need to look inside of yourself and say, what do I need to change? What do I need to adjust? What have I put on a pedestal in my life and made more important than reaching my goals? And that's what opens up the opportunities for us. That's what opens up the freedom to have the ability to build our businesses. If you're somebody that's starting from a place you got no time and no money, you are going to have to change how you live your life and do things differently to start to get a different result. And that's what I love helping people with. That's what this podcast is all about. That's what my social media is all about. If you don't follow me on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter or TikTok, that's what I talk about every single day, literally. Start taking imperfect action. How do you break past overwhelm? You stop trying to do everything perfectly. You do what you can do every single day with the little bit that you got. Instead of being frustrated that you can't do everything 100%, you do 10% because 10% is better than 0. 20% is better than 0. The little bit that you can do every day is better than nothing to keep moving forward towards your goals. This is what's going to help you. This is what's going to take you to the next level. And I see some of you commenting on here. I know you're listening. And you're going to be the ones that are going to be successful. If you apply this, this is life-changing. For everybody else that tries to argue against what I just talked about right here, I promise you, they're going to eventually come around 5-10 years from now and figure out the truth of all of this. These are like foundational teaching. This is a foundational teaching of how if you want to be a successful business owner, and you lack time, you lack money, you're going to have to change the way you think, the way you look at the world, what your priorities are, and start to create those things in your life. And here's the other thing about money. If you believe that there is a lack of money, If there's a limited supply of money, that is the reality that you'll live. If you believe that there is an abundance of money and you just have to know how to find it and get it for yourself, and that there is an unlimited supply of money and you can do things to get it, you will attract that into your life. And that's why I know it sounds silly, but gratitude and gratefulness are so important. Encouraging ourselves, empowering ourselves, telling ourselves, I'm doing such a good job today. Not, well, you suck and you're not doing what you should, and beating ourselves up. There's nothing good that comes out of beating ourselves up. There's nothing good that comes out of complaining about how nothing's going our way. There's nothing good that comes out of being afraid of how things are going to turn out. Good comes when we encourage ourselves. Good comes when we have a healthy, positive self-image. And we start doing what's best for us, not sacrificing ourselves based on trying to please other people and fulfill some version of ourselves that other people have invented in their mind, or the story that they've created of how they think we should be. And we get to choose to live our lives in the best way that's going to fulfill what we're trying to go after. My friends, you have to step into this place of having more respect for yourself and your time and your energy, and step into by choosing the greatness that's already in you. It's already there. I promise you that. But you have to choose it every single day. You know what? I'm going to choose greatness today. I'm going to choose to operate at my best. I'm going to choose to do what's best for me. I'm going to choose to do what's best to build my business and to keep the process moving forward. And there's so many different resources on this. An incredible book that I read on this topic that I've been recommending to my clients is called You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. It's a book that I recommend to most people. And it's all about stepping into that greatness and realizing the greatness that's already inside of you. How to stop doubting your greatness and start living an awesome life. And then they also have You Are a Badass at Making Money, Master the Mindset of Making Money. Those two books are absolutely incredible. I've listened to them on repeat. I highly recommend them. If you listen to this podcast episode, I'm going to put a link to them in the podcast post. Those books are life-changing. Okay? It's time to stop living our lives based on just the version of ourselves that other people have told us that we should be. It's time to stop living our lives based on the version of ourselves that other people have said that we need to be successful. To stop living based on the should do's and to start doing what's best for us. Listen, I believe in you and I know that you can accomplish the impossible in your life. And if you're somebody that needs help building your business and you want to talk about some coaching with me, I offer one-on-one coaching. You can schedule a free call with me on my website, jeremiahkrakowski.com, and we can talk about your business and where you're at to take it to the next level. I believe in you, and I know that the impossible is possible because I've seen it happen for myself and hundreds of other people that I've worked with over the years. I've seen it firsthand with my family. I've seen it firsthand with other business owners that I've worked with. Nothing is impossible for you. You just have to believe it first, and then that manifests in your life. Grow your life, everybody, and we'll talk soon.